Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. And welcome to the technology show on Salam Media. The show is called TechByte, and my name is Faizel Patel. It's just gone 4 minutes past 7 o'clock on this Sunday evening. I take this opportunity to welcome all those listeners listening to us on the various platforms of Salam Media, including YouTube, this particular platform, on social media, Twitter, and also on Facebook. Please take this opportunity to log in and enjoy the show. We do have a huge platform today and also a lot to unpack as far as tech stories are concerned. If you missed the show, you don't have to worry, inshallah, because this show will be podcasted and it will be available on my website, also known as faizelpatel.com and Wired to Tech. So also I want to share with you that if you want to keep in contact with me, you can send me a tweet on at Faizel Patel 143. I'm also on Facebook.com/Faizel Patel, on Instagram at Faizel Patel 143, and then also on YouTube where I do all the reviews and I do a whole lot of other videos. So please check them out, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. As I did mention, we have a packed show for you today. We're going to be starting with a brand called Honor. Now, Honor was part of the Huawei brand. And this week, inshallah, they're going to be launching a new phone. It's called the new Magic 4 series. So the phone is called Magic 4 series, and that's going to be launched this week, which is around the 9th of June. I have been invited for that particular launch. So inshallah, I will be sharing all the details with you, a lot more details than what is available on my website. If you do want to read about that story, you can go to my website, but there'll be a lot more details I will share with you in next week's show. So this particular phone boasts a triple camera array. It features a 50 megapixel wide camera, which packs a 1.56-inch color sensor, 50 megapixel 122-degree ultra wide camera, and a 64 megapixel periscope telephoto camera. So cameras are very important. I love photography. If you check my Twitter handle, I put up a number of photos. It doesn't have to be of animate objects. It could be inanimate objects, mountainsides, the setting sun, the moon. I actually share a very nice photo of the moon I took yesterday. So you don't have to take photos of people or animals. It could be anything, but enjoy the camera. The scenery and the sunsets and the sunrises are absolutely beautiful. So coming on to the other features of the phone, the Magic 4 Pro is powered by an ultra-large 4600 mAh battery, and with a 100-watt wired Honor supercharge, it juices up to 100% charge in just 30 minutes. That is absolutely fast, right? I mean, it's brilliant. I think, in 30 minutes, you can have a full charge of the phone, and the device is also the first to support 100 watts wireless Honor supercharge technology, which powers up the device up to a 60% charge in just 15 minutes. Now, remember that Honor was part of the Huawei brand, and they sometimes based on similar technologies. The device also debuts an all-new privacy calling feature supported by AI. For those that don't know AI, it's called artificial intelligence and is powered by directional sound technology, preventing sound leakage from more private phone calls. So if you got a call from your wife or you got a call from somebody very important, sometimes that sound is leaked through the earphone, and the person sitting next to you can hear what the person is saying. Well, it's got a better privacy feature now supported by AI, so nobody will actually be able to hear what is being said. So absolutely amazing. I think that's very, very good. And just to conclude on the story, it also delivers pulse width modulation, also known as PWM, of 1920 hertz, the highest ever achieved in LTPO screen. That's a screen technology minimizing eye strain and providing comfortable viewing experience even in low light environments. Now, if you want more details on that story, you can check out my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. Remember that this particular phone is not launched as yet. So it's not available yet in the country. It will be available from the 9th, or the launch is officially on the 9th of this month, which is this coming week. And I will be at that launch, and you can stay tuned to my Twitter handle for all the updates and pictures and many other stuff as well. Coming on to another mobile brand, I don't know if you heard of CrossCall. Now, CrossCall is spelled CROSS, CALL. CrossCall is a French company or a French brand. They are a smartphone manufacturer and they've done something wonderful. I think it's absolutely awesome. They've integrated the devices with a walkie-talkie app in Microsoft Teams to offer an all-in-one push-to-talk solutions suitable for businesses. I think very important, especially if you've got warehouses or you've got a very large business, and instead of trying to phone somebody, you can use the walkie-talkie feature and to keep in touch with others. So all of the AIX and the Province brands terminal are compatible with the walkie-talkie app in Teams. So if you use Microsoft Teams, you'll see there's a walkie-talkie feature. You can hook that up to a CrossCall device. Now, the walkie-talkie app in Teams is available for free to users of Teams with an active Microsoft 365 subscription. So if you don't have a 365 subscription, obviously, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to use this particular feature. Now, the walkie-talkie app in Microsoft Teams is easy, it's intuitive to use, and enables instant communication for frontline employees using the dedicated button integrated with CrossCall smartphones or tablets. So if you've got a CrossCall phone or you haven't heard of it, or check out my website. There's a lot more information there as well. And you can go onto the internet and check if there's any information that you do want. So absolutely wonderful phone. And the walkie-talkie feature is really, really awesome. So the dedicated push-to-talk button for walkie-talkie in Teams or CrossCall's rugged smartphones and tablets include the Core X4, Core M5. That's the name of the devices. So the Core X4, the Core M5, the Action X5, the Core T4, and the Core T5. I know it's a mouthful, but if you want the details of the devices, you can check out my website. Now, with this collaboration, CrossCall and Microsoft aim to meet the current challenges of frontline workers by enabling them to communicate with anyone from anywhere across geographic locations. So basically, frontline workers will be like nurses, doctors, paramedics, emergency services. It's absolutely amazing, especially when you've got like a disaster, what happened in KZN with the floods. I think it's absolutely amazing. The side button on CrossCall devices can launch the walkie-talkie in Teams in one easy click and turn into digital walkie-talkies, delivering a single device for frontline communications and replacing traditional radios. Now, I know a lot of people, including ourselves here where we stay in Asia South, we use the radios to communicate with neighbors, especially as the crime continues to escalate. We've seen the crime stats last week. Friday it was released. It just soared and soared and soared. We've got a serious epidemic of crime in this country. And inshallah, hopefully, the radios are playing an important role. If you're at home or your wife is at home, she can use the radio and maybe call a neighbor that is available if she is in trouble. Maybe that is something to consider if you are living in an area which is small and the radios really play a big part. In our area, it has been just absolutely amazing. Now, if you want to read this CrossCall story, you can go to my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. Now, when we think of Intel, we think of computers, and Intel is one of the largest chip manufacturers probably in the world, and you can find their chips in most of the computers that we use. So what they've done is this week, the company announced it's bringing its performance hybrid architecture to mobile platforms for the first time with a new 12th gen Intel Core mobile processors, which is said are up to 40% faster than the previous generation of mobile processor. That is absolutely amazing. Now, remember, whatever I'm speaking about, dear listeners, is available on my website. And you can check it out easy on faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. Now, the chip giant introduced 28 new 12th generation Intel Core mobile processors that deliver a suite of capabilities to create laptops for people to compete whenever, or compute rather, whenever and wherever they need without compromise. The last thing you need is a computer that is lagging, that is slow, and the Intel processors are just absolutely awesome. They are fast as well. Now, Nitesh Tula, the country lead for Intel in South Africa, said the South African gaming and community have been eagerly awaiting the much anticipated 12th gen Core mobile processors launch. And I'm going to quote him here. He said Intel 12th generation is brand new core architecture with the biggest change in x86 in over a decade, with Intel's new hybrid technology with both performance and efficient cores. The exciting new hybrid approach allows the company to bring together two different architectures by the Intel Threat Director software. So a lot to read there, but again, it is available on my website. So Intel continues its introduction of industry-leading mobile performance processors with the 12th Intel Core 8 series mobile processors, and then they say by pairing performance cores, that's P cores, and efficient cores or E cores with the intelligent workload prioritization and management distribution through Intel Threat Director, the new Intel Core i9 12900H improves system performance across single and multi-thread applications. And based on the Intel 7 processors, new 12th generation 8 series processors offer a whole lot of features. I'm not going to go through that. You can go to my website and read that story as well. So thanks to Intel for supplying me the information. They had the launch of this on Friday. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend due to Juma and because it's a short day, but I did get the press release and that is now available, and that story is now available on my website. So you can check that out as well. I think wonderful, wonderful. Most of the computers, if you're sitting with a laptop at home and you will see probably Intel inside, that's an Intel chip that's actually in your computer. So one of the bigger companies, as far as chip manufacturers are concerned. Coming on to cameras, I was speaking about photography earlier. I love photography. Last week sometime, my wife was actually laughing at me because when I was leaving for work at about 4:30 in the morning, I stopped on the toll road. That's the Grasmere toll road as I was going past Zak Park. And, if you look at the view from there, you can actually see the whole highway. That's the M1 South and the M1 North Highway, Deathman's Bend, if you're driving there. And with the lights, it looks absolutely awesome. So I stopped the car and I took this photo and I just loved it because I love photography. It could be anything. It could be a plant. It could be, a building. It could be a mountain. Photography is awesome. And remember, today's mobile phones got beautiful, beautiful cameras. They're very powerful and they do a lot to make your photography really come out splendid. But there's nothing like a real camera. And I'm not taking anything away from mobile phones, but like a DSLR. And one of the leading manufacturers in cameras is Fujifilm, and they announced two new cameras, including new lenses. Now, there's a lot on this particular story, so I suggest that you go to my website and read that particular story because at least you can get some of the technical details. So as I mentioned, Fujifilm South Africa has announced the launch of the mirrorless Fujifilm X-H2S, arriving locally in early July 2022. So if you're a camera connoisseur and if you love cameras or you're a photographer for a media house or whatever it is, then have a look at this article and read about the details. The company said the X-H2S is the new flagship models boasting the highest performance in both stills. Now, stills is basically just normal photography and videos in the history of the X series, following the footsteps of the 2018's highly successful X-H1. Now, I've tested some of the Fujifilm cameras and they are absolutely awesome. Now, Fujifilm also said the new stacked layer back illuminated 26.16 megapixel X-Trans CMOS 5H sensor is capable of reading signals 4 times faster than the previous sensor, and the high-speed X Processor 5 boasts double the processing speed of the previous version. And like I mentioned, a whole lot of technical details. I don't want to go through too much to it. It's better that you read it. The camera also supports filming high-speed 4K 120p video, so fast-moving subjects can be presented in slow motion, or smooth slow motion rather, with fine details, especially in sport or motor racing, or if you want to take photo of a highway or whatever it is, something that is moving, right? And then the Fujifilm X-H2S, that's a second camera, features dual memory card slots supporting CF Express, Type B, and SD card, so you can actually take that SD card and download your photos. Other features include 5-axis in-body image stabilization and offers up to a 7.0 stop advantage. All this comes in a highly robust magnesium body that incorporates operability improved from the previous models. And then a whole lot of other details. And let's go on to pricing and availability. The Fujifilm, before we go on to that, they also launched 2 lenses. So these are amazing lenses. The Fuji Non Lens XF150 600mm f5.6.8 RLMOISWR. Like I mentioned, a mouthful, but you have to look at the pictures available on my website. That is available as well. And the Fujinon lens XF18 120 millimeter is also available. So let's come on to pricing and availability. The XH2S will be available in South Africa in early July 22, as I mentioned, with a recommended retail price of 39,990 rand. And you might think that is expensive, but for photographers and people that are in the industry, this is a standard and it's a wonderful camera. The Fujinon XF150 600 millimeter lens comes at around 34,000 rand, and the Fujinon XF18 120 millimeter F4 LMP ZWR lens will land in South Africa in September and sells for around 14,500 rand. Now, as I mentioned, if you do want to have a look at that, please go onto my website and inshallah you can see the pictures of them. The camera looks absolutely wonderful. I have a Canon EOS 650D camera and it takes wonderful pictures. These professional cameras really do a wonderful job. So, and I've used the Fujifilm, they just absolutely brilliant. They mirrorless camera, so you can see the photographs that come out, and I've got a few which is available on my Twitter handle. And then coming on to our last story for this evening, one of the things that I always speak about is reading. Whenever I get a request about Faizel wanting to become a journalist, how can I improve my language, or how can I become more efficient or proficient in English, and get a greater vocabulary, I always suggest to the people, read, read, read. I think it's very, very important, especially for the youngsters, to read so they can build up their vocabulary and they can have a more, a diverse language when they're writing essays and assignments. This is something that we do on a daily basis. As a journalist, I'm working for the Citizen, and we need to sometimes elaborate on certain things. And you're looking for adjectives, and you're looking for more descriptive words. And when you read something and you remember these words, and if you don't know the meaning, obviously you look it up as well. That's why I want to share with you some of the books. And I've got a huge collection of books. I wish I could show you. I will tweet that on my Twitter handle. And it doesn't have to be expensive books. Some of the books I pick up from flea markets, they're quite cheap. But if you want a good selection and a great selection of books at recommended retail prices and that are quite affordable, have a look at Exclusive Books. And now they've released their new winter reads. So there's some new books for winter, and there's some brilliant, brilliant titles for everybody, from adults who love fiction and non-fiction, to kids books, to young adult and teenagers, and there's even picture books for the little ones who actually can't read. So with the onset of winter, Exclusive Books have some hot reads for the cold days, right? Hot reads, the cold days and nights, including fiction, non-fiction, young adult and children's titles on the recommended reading list for June, and an extended list of children's titles. Now, like I mentioned, very, very important to encourage children to read. So if you've been to an Exclusive book shop, you can see the picture on your screen now. They've got a great variety. It's sorted out into different sections: children's section, non-fiction, fiction, biographies. And sometimes I can spend an hour, 2 hours in a shop just looking for a book to read. And I love books, especially tech books and biographies. I read a lot of that. So Bhatia Bricker, Exclusive Books Marketing, Loyalty and Procurement General Manager, said the recommended selection for June is dominated by the much-awaited Finding Me by Viola Davis. So I'm sure a lot of people will be looking for that. And she goes on to say Viola's piercings and unforgettable Oprah interview has set in motion more interest in trailblazing Black actress, and readers are chomping at the bit for this book release. It's going to be huge. So check out that particular one. So let's go through some of the books that are top of the top for this month. There are 13 fiction titles in June. I'm just going to go through them briefly. You have Yinka, Where Is Your Husband by Lizzie. My Name is Yip by Paddy Crew. A Book of the Night by Ollie Black. Elizabeth Finch by Julian Barnes. And it goes on. That's non-fiction. And they've got like Bot, which is Afrikaans, Dear Karin Smith. The Murders at Fleet House by Lucinda Riley. And they got The Cove by Alice Clark Platts. And then coming on to non-fiction for June, For those that don't know, non-fiction is basically true. It's books that's based on reality or something that is true. They've got Don't Worry by Shunmyo Masuno, in Waymaker by Anne Foskam, and it goes on. All the lists of all the books is available on my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. One of the ones that stand out here is Bulelani Muka, The Sting in the Tail by Marion, Crossroads by Tony Benson, and Finding Me, the one I was mentioning, by Viola Davis. They also have Take Charge by Nimpini Mapunda, and In Tapestries by Life and Svedrup Tigerson. So those are non-fiction. And then coming on to children, they got three titles for children in the 6 to 9 age category. The Investigators by John Patrick Green, Judy Moody 16 in a Monday Mood by Megan McDonald, and Asterix 39. I used to love Asterix comics as a child, and I'm sure you do as well. So Asterix 39 and Griffin by Jean Ives Ferry, or Jean Ives Ferry, you can check that out as well. And in the 10 to 12 age category, they've got also three titles. The Thief Who Sang Storms by Sophie Anderson, Maya and Her Friends by Larissa Denisenko, and Codename Bananas by David Williams. So the teenagers will absolutely love this particular ones. And picture books for those that can't read, they've got three as well. And The Tail Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter, The Woolly Bear Caterpillar by Julia Donaldson, and Do You Love Exploring by Matt Robinson. And then for the young adult, teenagers and above, they've got quite a few. Children of Flying City by Jason Sheehan, and they've got Afrikaans, Die Sproot Bessies, and Die Hart van die Swart Roos, deur Troula Goosen. They've got The In-Between by Mark Klein, and then they got others as well. Family of Liars, which sounds very interesting, by E. Lockhart, and Skullduggery, Pleasant 15 Until the End of Derek Landy, and the last one, Mixtape van die Liefde met Anja Krog. So yeah, absolutely love reading. I love books, and please do check out the exclusive books because they got some great features. They even have a loyalty program as well, and basically what they say is that the recommended titles are merchandised in front of all their stores every month and are carefully curated in different categories. They say the aim is to assist customers to see at a glance and short space of time titles that are new, trending, and have caught the eye of the exclusive books buyers in among thousands and thousands of titles. And then, as I mentioned, Fanatics members, that means if you become an exclusive book Fanatic member, also earn a whopping 200 bonus points on their purchase from the list during June. So please do check them out. There's exclusive books across the country, and you can also go online as well. So those are some of the things for this particular tech show. I always encourage reading because we need a good vocabulary. We need to be proficient in reading. You need to be affluent in the way you conduct your speech, whether it's, the one thing that Maulana Suleiman Mullah told me one day, and he spoke about it in one of his bayans, is that you have to have a different way of speaking to different types of people. And he used a particular example. He says, if I speak to children, you speak to them in a different way, in a different manner, so that they can understand. If you speak to school students and school pupils, you will speak to them in a different way as opposed to speaking to the children. Then you get the masjid or the bayans in the masjid, you'll speak to people in a different way, which combines a whole lot of different aspects because there's professors, there's doctors, there's professionals in the particular masjid where he's lecturing. And then if you speak at the university or you speak at a college or maybe a place of higher education, then obviously you have to have a different way of speaking as well. And if you're not proficient in your language, or if you haven't studied, then reading really develops your vocabulary. I've seen a dramatic increase in mine and my children's vocabulary after I asked them to read. And even my small little 5-year-old sometimes use words and phrases and adjectives. Just this afternoon, he and his little brother were fighting, and we burst out laughing, my wife and myself. And when he told his brother, he says, "Is this the way you speak to your brother?" A phrase that he picked up somewhere. So children are very impressionable, they're very vulnerable, and it's good to get them into reading as quickly as possible. And when I speak about reading, not necessarily only English as well, also if they are in madrasa, ensure that they read the Quran and open the Quran constantly, inshallah, so that they can get the kalam of the tongue and the sweetness of the Quran also on their tongues as well. Anyway, we've come to the end of this week's tech show. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, you can interact with me by sending me a tweet on at Faizel Patel 143. You can also get me on Instagram at Faizel Patel 143. I'm also on Facebook.com/Faizel Patel. And if you are into politics and other news stories, you can check out my stories on the Citizen News website at citizen.co.za. And if you want to check out some of the reviews that I did on the phones, especially when I do get the headsets for review, they are available on the YouTube channel. That's my YouTube channel at Faizel Patel. Please do search for them. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and please hit that notification bell as well. And if you missed this particular show, it will be available on Salam Media's YouTube channel, and it will be available on my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. Anyway, please do take care of yourselves. Remember, this is the start of a new week. Remember the Ummah in your du'as and make dua for all the marhum that have passed away. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you safe on the roads tomorrow and make it a beautiful and productive week for you and for everybody else, inshallah. From myself and my engineer for this evening, Brother Sadiq, please do take care of yourselves and each other. Fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.